Hey guys, my name is Simone Winters and this is the second episode of Summing It Up with Simone. So as you guys know, on this podcast I wanted to incorporate a lot of student athlete experiences and kind of their life journeys on where they got to, where they are in their career now. So today I brought on Jaylin Holmes.
Hey.
So Jaylin is a track and field athlete at ISU, and I mean you can introduce yourself if you want, just explain where you're from and stuff like that.
I'm a track and field athlete at ISU. I'm a short sprinter and I'm a 400 hurdler when it comes to being like outdoor season. I'm from Michigan, kind of like Simone, just a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
What are you studying?
Same thing as Simone. Mass media, sports broadcasting, all that kind of thing.
Okay, Jaylin, so we're going to start with some icebreaker questions. So do you brush your teeth before you eat breakfast or after you eat breakfast?
After, because
who
just wants their breath to smell like...
But it smells like that when you wake up.
Exactly.
No, that's why you need to brush it first.
You need it, no, because then you walk around with that food smelling like your breath. Like imagine you eat cereal, and then imagine you brush your teeth and go eat cereal, or drink your orange juice.
You're saying it's gonna taste weird,
it's gonna
but
taste nasty.
Okay, whatever. I'm definitely gonna brush it right when I wake up. But okay, my second question is, if you were to play, this is a good question for you. If you were to play any other sport aside from like running track, what sport would you play?
Men's volleyball.
He thinks he's a professional volleyball player for real. Okay, so that's all for the icebreaker questions, and now we're gonna get into the real deep questions to learn about yourself. Okay?
Okay.
So, I mean, as you're a Michigan native as well, I know like coming out of high school you had like a few offers. Michigan, right? Iowa, Michigan State, right? And obviously Illinois State. I'm pretty sure you had way more. So I think like the big question is like you're at a mid-major compared to going to a Power 5. So what was like the deciding factor? Because you know most high school athletes probably would have chose a Power 5. So was it like a developmental choice or like a culture thing?
For me, I definitely say that a lot of influences, like as far as just me wanting to learn a little bit more about the sport, like on the collegiate circuit, because you see like a lot of like high profile athletes they choose like the wrong decision too early, you know, and it kind of makes them just go down here immediately. So I kind of wanted to see like how the experience would be, and also I knew so many people here, you know, like I didn't know you, but I knew of you, my brother, Brandon, you know, all these people were here, so it's like they tell me about their experiences, so I'm like, okay, let's look at this school.
Yes, I think just being at more of an intimate school, like wise, like numbers wise and population wise, I think it does make the experience 10 times better. But it also depends what you're looking for, you know, because some people want to be at that level where it's just bigger than just track, and like I can experience like going to those crazy college football games and stuff like that. But you know, I think everyone's choice is different. So let's talk about your season last year. So you did the 60 indoor for majority, like for most of the thing. You were like literally a short sprinter. And then that transferred to going outdoor, running 4x4s and the 400 hurdles, which led you to a conference championship in the 400 hurdles, and you made it to regionals as well as U20s.
Yep.
So that's a long season for anyone that does not know. Going from indoor season to outdoor season to regionals to U20s, like that was your whole summer pretty much. So how do you feel like, I mean, like, what was your thought process going through it all? Because you know, coming in as a freshman, winning the 400 hurdles in the conference. So let's go through that. So like, how was that? Like, did you have intentions of winning, or was it just like something that just happened?
For me, I went into the season thinking like I can run fast, because like the potential that I had coming, you know, out of high school in this event. But the day of conference, I didn't have the fastest time going into the final. Which was weird because I had the fastest time of the whole season. Like I led the conference by like
was it like
a second?
Yeah, a second.
And then the finals, and I'm not leading in the finals. Now I have lane 6 on the outside, and everyone's chasing me. And it was probably the most nerve-wracking race I ever ran. Like, I know, like, people like coaches say, like, we don't put pressure on you. But the pressure be on. The pressure be on without them saying the pressure is on. So, like, it was definitely more like me trying to just, like, stay focused. But I definitely went into the race thinking I can win it, knowing I can win it.
Mm-hmm.
But, because it only took me to run my PR for me to win the race. You know, like, I didn't have to run something crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I literally had to run what I've ran already all season. So, I pretty much went into it hoping and thinking I was going to win, but I'm glad it turned out the way it did. Because if it didn't, that would look really weird.
I know. So do you remember what place, like, you qualified going into regionals, like, for the West region? Which place?
Yeah. I was 30-something.
And it's top?
48.
48. Okay, so you made it in with space.
Yeah.
Okay, so regionals, where was that at?
It was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
California.
Okay, first time in California?
Yeah, it was. It was dirty.
Dirty?
It was dirty.
Wait.
It was really dirty, I'm not gonna lie.
Like the city?
The city was dirty. Sacramento was very dirty. It's not like the California look that you think you get. No, it wasn't.
Okay, so how was going from like a mid-major MVC stage to now being with like
pros, basically.
Yeah, pretty much pros, like going to regionals as a freshman too.
I would say you can tell the difference between their focus level. Like just seeing like people from Baylor, like Nathaniel, racing against him, he was in my heat. Just seeing him, just watching people warm up, it's a complete different like experience. Like, you know, like when you're at AAU versus like your high school. It's like you can tell the difference. Like it's like that. It was like that big of a difference. And you could tell that they were way more serious about what they're doing, and you could tell that their coaches wanted them to just they succeed so much because how much it was yeah, you can tell like coaches screaming in the stands like yeah, because when you're at Power 5 school, you have to make it to those places. So
if you want to stay on the team, that's what you have to do. Okay, before I go to U20s, you mentioned like the jump of like competing with your high school team versus competing AAU. So how do you feel like the jump was from going from high school to specifically Illinois State? Did you feel like it was going to be that drastic, or was it not as drastic as you thought it was going to be?
For me, it wasn't that big of a change. It was more like my first semester, I struggled a little bit as far as like schooling.
Like academics, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as like track wise, I was never really like stressed really. My high school was super big. Like we had like, you know, my class was like 800 people.
Yeah.
So like it was, I'm already kind of used to like the big classes and like the big atmosphere. So as far as like that was kind of normal to me. Now if I would have went to like a really super big school like a USC or a Kentucky, then maybe it would have been like a little bit different. But it wasn't really much of a huge difference compared to like high school. Yeah,
and I think what people really need to talk about is like coming from a decent size or really, really, really good high school to a mid-major. A lot of the resources you have are very, very similar.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of crazy because at some points you have a little bit more resources or it's more willing when you're in high school versus then I don't know, they'd be stingy. Like when you get to college, they like especially a mid-major and you don't have as much money
especially for a sport that we are in
track.
Yeah.
It's like very, very limited, and they're very picky with who they give what to.
Because you can win at so much in track and field,
and it doesn't mean nothing. It literally does not mean nothing. But compared to high school level, like if track was the best sport, like it was known that it was the best sport. Everyone, you know, put all their attention and support that way. Okay, so the last question I have for you, we can just wrap everything else up. You know, you had a whole bunch of Power 5 offers and you decided to come to a mid-major, which, you know, like we said, a lot of high school athletes may not do if they have, like, I think just like the ratio that what you had, it was like Power 5, mid-major, right? So prior to even coming to Illinois State, and I know like your experiences can change everything, but did you plan on staying here or did you plan on using this as a way to, like you said, learn yourself better, learn the sport better so you can get ready to be at a higher level and still dominate?
I definitely think I came into here thinking like I feel like for me personally, when I first got to this school, I never had the first initial thought of, oh, I'm going to leave as soon as I got here. No. So I think like when you sign, you like, oh, I can see myself here for 4 years. That's what you think about when you're in high school. But I feel like as an athlete, no matter what sport you're in, no matter what you do, you always look for more and look for better. So I feel like as you start to learn, as you start to develop, when different opportunities presents itself, then you will start to make those decisions as it starts to roll in. But I definitely do think that as an athlete, at a mid-major who could have went Power 5 out of high school, that the skill level that you are presented around like a lot, like conference, just like conference, like I would have not even got like at Big Tens with my time, I think I would have got like 6th, you know. So it's like just that, and if you want more for yourself, then you will start to think about. I said too like I was from Baltimore. No, but like I feel like you start to like think like is this really for me? Do I really want to continue to see how far I can get? Because with track and field, it's such a competition based sport that if you're not surrounded by the competition all the time, then the competition is going to continue just to build without you. And I feel like that's definitely something that a lot of like athletes, around the mid-major circuit thinks, like the Javon, or like the Parker, like the the top athletes, like how good will I be if I stay, or how good would I get if I?
And it's like, are you missing out on other things because you're not reaching your full potential here? I think with track though, like I think you can say if you are at a very solid institution, no matter if it's mid-major or not, you're able to get to that point 100%, but you need the support system behind you. And I think that's the hardest part at a mid-major compared to being at a Power 5, because it's like it's like you're fast already. I have all the resources and I'm just tweaking it. Like it's just like we're just maintaining, whereas I feel like this is, like you said, it's more developmental, but it's harder to have like all the resources.
Because like when they're developing other athletes, I cannot still continue to get developed if I'm already developed. So it's like it comes with different training, different aspects, and just different like coaching experiences and just different overall things. Like you can be like Melissa Jefferson. She ran 10.8 at a mid-major. You got a lot of these fast athletes who coming from JUCOs, Power 5, JUCOs, smaller schools.
It definitely just depends on, like, I think it's very conditional, like your school, like what mid-major you are makes a big difference, what resources that mid-major has, and like what kind of notoriety it already has in the NCAA. I think all that stuff matters, and I think it's really important to talk about like making sure that move for you is at the right time, because that's a big thing. Like if we all know that UCLA, USC, Oregon just moved to the Big Ten. The Big Ten is a completely different ballgame now. Like people thought I could compete in Big Ten, I can't even no more, just because of those schools. Those 3 schools just changed the standards for women and men, And then even the moves to SEC. The SEC moves. Yeah. So like even though they're small, like even like Houston going to the Big 12, like stuff like that, like those small changes make a big difference, and I think it's making the Power 5 game more hard. And I think that's what you mean when you say like environmental, like the environment, like it's moving without you at the end of the day. So either you have to find a way to keep up on your own, because it's going, like they're making it more and more competitive.
Yeah, because kind of like when you think about like our mid-major schools, they focus on conference, and then you have the mid-major schools, they're not peaking for conference. I mean, they want to win their conference, but they want to get to the nationals, They have like 2 different peaks. They have peak for conference, they have a peak for regionals, and they have the complete peak for nationals. But
their training is just completely different than what we got on.
Because they're making their athletes go to regionals instead of we're hoping to get to regionals.
I agree. To say the least, I guess we could say that if the opportunity presents itself and you feel that you need to reach your full potential, you would make the changes necessary. To say the least. Whatever is necessary, you'll do. Especially, I think at mid-majors, a lot of people, you're surrounded by people who is like, I'm just doing this for college. But then also with people, I'm gonna do this beyond. So like it's definitely
it's a mixture, and it's like hard to keep your emotions, hard to keep your focus level when it's like I'm just doing this
because people are here like, oh, I'm just here to get through college and I'm done, which is okay. A lot of people are like that. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just harder if you know you want to do something more bigger than that. You see your potential, and you've already made those type of moves as a freshman.
Yeah, but I do say that for anyone who is a bigger athlete in college, you have to know, a bigger athlete in high school, you have to make sure you know what you are doing, because if you don't and you just instantly go to the Power 5 level,
you can mess it up.
You can mess it up.
Some people aren't ready for that big of a change.
Yeah.
Like, they're not at all. So I think it was a good move at the end of the day. So I guess that's really all we have for today's episode.
Reverse interview. I have a question for you.
Oh,
To end it off.
okay.
My question is, when you first got here and you came from Canada to Detroit to here, how was your training compared to like in Canada compared to like Detroit compared to here?
Okay, so I will say, I personally feel like the sports in Canada aren't as competitive as they are, but I think that's very known. Like, I think academically, Canada's a great place to go to, but sports-wise, like, yes, there's great potential in there, and there's still but those are people that move out of Canada and come
here
for that reason. So I think I was almost, in some situations, if we're just specifically talking track, I was blindsided by, I wouldn't say blindsided, but I didn't really know what good was, just because the good I knew was just what I was surrounded about. You know what I'm trying to say? But like, thankfully, I have my dad. My dad grew up here. He played sports here. He played professional football. Like, so I wasn't like, I was just like lollygagging around. Like, I still,
13-5.
No, like, I knew if that was bad, I knew it was bad. If it was good, it was good. But it wasn't until I knew that I was moving to Detroit because of COVID that, like, that's when I started looking into those girls who are now my friends, surprisingly. But I was looking into theirs and I was like, oh, like, no, that's not what it is. Like, you don't need to step it up. But
because she basically went from, you know, Canada to one of the basically the best track scene inside the U.S.
At that time, we had like all the top girls pretty much in the nation on one team for the most part, you know. So it was just, I think one thing about it I thank my dad for is, like, I had the focus. So it wasn't like it was just a shock and I was like, no, I was still competing. I was still being very, very focused. It was just a different scene, but I was able to adapt. And then from there, coming to college, I think that was the best move before coming to college, because I was already in that type of atmosphere. Although training is completely different, but I was already in that competitive atmosphere. So it wasn't like a big jump. I think if I would have came from Canada straight to
here
ISU, I probably would have been like, oh wow, like, this is a lot.
Okay.
But I kind of got a taste of it by like having that transition, I feel like.
Okay, that's good.
So that's all the questions we have for today. And once again, I'm Simone Winters. This is Jaylin Holmes. And this is the second episode of Summing Up with Simone.